All right, here we are. Heaven Hill is at it once again with their newest release, the Old Fitzgerald 7-year bottled and bond. Could this be your new daily sipper from a wheated bourbon standpoint? That we're going to talk about today here on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. All right, guys, thanks again for joining today. Greatly appreciate it. So we are going to be tackling today the newest release here from Heaven Hill, the Old Fitzgerald 7-year bottled and bond. So obviously this thing's coming in at 100 proof. Mash bill on this, 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malted barley. MSRP on this, $59.99. And while I was out of town on vacation, was able to find this at my favorite food slash liquor place in Egg Harbor, Main Street Market. So shout out to Sam and everybody over there. So thanks for bringing this one in and giving me the opportunity to do today's review of this. Again, it is age stated as 7 years old. And again, I mentioned 100 proof on this one. So rather than waste any time, let's kind of dive right into this and see exactly what the new Old Fitzgerald really has to offer. Again, you can see beautiful kind of semi-decanter style bottle. Love really everything about it from a visual standpoint so far, but really what's important is the whiskey in the bottle. And at that $59.99 price point, you know, will that kind of match up to making this your kind of new daily sipper from a wheated bourbon standpoint? Boy, so right away you get a lot of this like frosted honey wheat cereal note to it. Then kind of quickly follows into a little bit more of a darker fruit standpoint. I'm gonna say like more of a chocolate raspberry kind of feel to it. Really like this like cinnamon, like bread with frosting. I guess almost kind of like a sweet roll, something along those, Cinnabon, something along those lines. Yeah, really more of that sweet, rich oak kind of really starts to come out in this. Yeah, a lot of that honey sweet tea kind of feel to it. Again, it has a little bit of that both savory and decadent feel to it. So you're mixing in some of the dark richness that will give you a little bit of that savory feel while you get into kind of some of those like that sweet Cinnabon, you know, type of feel, which will give you a little bit more of that decadence that's there. Yeah, I love the nose so far on this. Beautiful, beautiful nose. More, again, a little bit of that kind of, you know, cherry, chocolate, strawberry kind of feel to this. Yeah, beautiful nose so far. So rather than waste any more time, let's dive into the palate and see exactly what this one's got to offer. Cheers. Yeah, so my first thought would be think a really nice sweet tea with a little bit of honey added to that. Quickly following is that really nice oak. You know, at 100 proof, it's always an interesting proof to see what is going to kind of shine or fall flat. I would say with the sweetness that's up front with this, that's working really well with that really nice oak baking spices that are there. There's a spice that's there, maybe a little black pepper, that's more than you would expect. So with it being a wheated bourbon, oftentimes people feel that there's just going to be a lot of sweetness, no spice. Well, this gives you a little bit of each one of those kind of components. So that makes it for a really nice, sipping, well-balanced kind of wheated bourbon. Yeah, I still think it has this kind of like soft, semi-velvety kind of mouthfeel texture to it. Not overly thin. You know, some 100 proofers can kind of fall into that category. The oak, I think, as it starts to sit on the palate a little bit more, starts to kind of build. So it's working with that fruit note in addition to that kind of sweet tea, honey, a little bit of that wheated feel to it. You know, what I say there's an overall like wheat funk to it, not really like you'd get maybe like on a wheat whiskey. There's not quite as much of that, but there is that wheatiness that it's there to it. So oftentimes people will describe that as like kind of a doughiness or something like that, but it just has that wheaty feel to it, like maybe a cornflake or a frosted flake, something like that, all working really well with everything that I've kind of described. So, man, I'll tell you what, I wasn't sure when I first opened it. I wasn't sure about this bottle like immediately, but as I've kind of had a few pours and it's gotten down below the shoulder, the air has really done this bottle, I think, a lot of justice. So I would say if you get this bottle, don't be overly judgmental of it like right away. Like I think I was. Like immediately I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I think as this thing is starting to kind of like work its way down, it has changed. So this would be, in my opinion, proof of a little bit of airtime doing this thing, some justice. I've had this bottle now open for about a week, maybe 8 to 10 days max. But again, overall, the airtime to me has done it a lot of justice. It's really benefited in that, 7 to 10 days, let's say. So, take your time with it, get into it, have a first pour, see exactly what it's like, let it sit, come back to it in a week or two and see if it maybe has improved for you like it has for me. Yeah, I think it has a lot of the kind of tried and true, vanilla, caramel kind of characteristics. Again, on that sweetness side of things, it's a very, very approachable. Like I feel that this will be for a lot of people, because this is going to eventually be kind of like a shelf weeded bourbon for them. This kind of falls into that daily sipper category that really should allow for a lot of people to have this bottle, at right around $60. I paid a little bit less. Like I paid $56.99 less than what the suggested retail price is. But I think this falls right into that category of, a great daily sipper from a weeded bourbon standpoint. It has enough backbone, enough character to allow for you to just want to sit down, enjoy, each and every pour of this. Again, that proof point allows you to maybe have that little extra pour along the way. So, to me, a fantastic, fantastic weeded bourbon that Heaven Hill is pumping out and should be sitting on the shelves at some point, probably next to their other bottle and bond from a rye bourbon standpoint. This probably will be a nice little alternative, to that, but give you something from a weeded bourbon standpoint that you can kind of reach for, every single time. If we get into the overall thoughts on this one, I think at $60, this eventually being readily available, it becomes a buy every single time. Like this will probably be the weeded bourbon that I have around to give to people, not only from a presentation standpoint, but I think the quality of the whiskey within this bottle, matches. It's kind of the perfect pairing. I think you get something that is, obviously a more elegant looking bottle with a whiskey that kind of matches that. It is kind of a softer, elegant kind of, weeded bourbon, and one that really just matches. So when people come over, you can kind of share this with someone, enjoy it on your own, whatever it may be. But overall, my thoughts would be at $60, really no more. Don't go chasing after this thing or paying any kind of crazy secondary prices. I don't think you're going to have to, really much longer. But overall, I think for $60, this becomes a great everyday weeded bourbon. So I would pay $60 for this. And as I work down and I can find another bottle, I will 100% be buying another bottle of this. It just works really, really well. And I think, if you really wanted to utilize it in cocktails, weeded bourbons aren't something I typically will use for cocktails. But I think this has enough kind of backbone and overall flavor that would probably allow you to utilize it in a cocktail if you want, and not really kind of break the bank. So overall, again, going back to that, I think it becomes that everyday weeded bourbon that really everyone should maybe have, at their home bar. So Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook and Instagram, those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel and become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, make sure you check out that Patreon link in the description below. That down there with a lot of other great things for you as well. So with that being said, thank you guys again for tuning in today. I hope you truly enjoy the Old Fitzgerald 7-year bottle and bond as much as I do. And make sure you leave a comment below. Let me know your overall thoughts on this bottle itself. I think a lot of other people will appreciate that as well. So cheers, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. And as always, it's about the journey and not the destination. See you in the next video.
I've been feeling myself. I've been trying to keep it all on track. I could tell you took your time. I've been thumbing through your gram like that. Bring my energy back, girl, you're something like the sunlight. Girl, you're something like the sunshine.